All right, well, as you can probably see and hear, we're fishing some topwater this morning. You know, while the shad are active, while there's some fish up shallow moving around, we're gonna take advantage of the conditions and cover some water with this plopper-style bait and a buzz bait this morning, see if we can move around and get a few quick bites early in the morning and get our day started. You would be surprised, even though the water temperature is 81.5 degrees, these fish are gonna be extremely shallow. We're on the upper end of this lake, and you know, the fish up here just live usually 5-6 feet or less most of the year. And a lot of them are up here kind of getting ready for fall, doing that fall transition where the shad are finally starting to get kind of into these coves and the backs of these creeks. And these bass are moving in behind them. You know, these really shallow boat docks, you can get a topwater bite around. They act as almost a lay down, you know, these boat docks in 2-3 feet or less. But if I'm trying to get it up in a tight space, you got a swim platform and some boat lifts in there, usually I'm gonna opt for something I can put into a little bit tighter quarters. All right, let's see if I can get one out of that little clump of grass right here. I always like isolated cover like that a lot better than big patches of grass or big brush piles. Seems like in shallow water, that isolated cover is key. I can't believe I didn't get a bite there. That looked good. You know, really the key to locating fish, especially on like a big reservoir or any reservoir, is finding the bait. So this morning I'm not seeing a ton of bait in here, but we're gonna go and look around and see if we can get around some more shad activity and hopefully some more bass. Victim number one. And to make multiple presentations to that fish, we just fished through that point. But you know, these little points are always good ambush spots, and not a bad fish for 83, 84 degree water temperature early in the morning. We'll put that one back and see if we can get another one. You know, this willow grass right here, there's not a ton of it, which makes it a really good target. The fish like it, the shad like it. And you know, that's early in the morning like this, it just provides really good cover in this shallow water. So a lot of these fish are just roaming flats, feeding on bait fish. And so it just kind of gives a little place for the bait fish to get around and for the bass to ambush them. So I'm willing to bet that fish was, you know, maybe a foot deep or so. Little guy, little tiny dude. They're getting it good though. Every one of them that's come up for the buzz bait has got it. I feel like putting some kind of a trailer on there really helps get those fish to commit to the bait. I've got just a little toad on the back of here, which I really like a toad. It's just a bigger profile. They can kind of see it and hone in on it. Got good action to it, but I just feel like it gives it a little bit of presence. Gives them something to shoot for, basically. The water's really up pretty high. You can see, a lot of times when the water's down, you'll be able to see that the stems will be brown. So you can kind of, you know, if this water level drops 2, 3, 4 inches, you'll start seeing the stems show up on these. And, you know, at that point, you know, the fish start really getting around the edges. But right now we've got so much water in there that they're inside of it, behind it, around it. So you got to kind of go slow and make a lot more casts. But this buzzbait comes through that grass really good, so I can throw it behind that grass mat and bring it through there and keep it running, keep it productive. Usually when you got a lay down like this that are laid up in the grass, provides a little bit more shade, better ambush point. So anytime you got 2 pieces of cover mixing, it's always better. Oh yeah. And that was awesome. He smoked that buzzbait. Oh man. Shallow water bassing in August, and he was up there and, well, the boat's in 1.7 foot of water. And man, had to be patient with that buzzbait. Brought it past that log and that grass several different times and from several different angles, and he jumped on it. Good 4-pounder or close to it. I was just talking about getting multiple pieces of cover together and those fish congregating around it, and that is exactly what happened here. We've got a nice lay down that's blown up into this grass, and I went down this whole lay down and made multiple presentations, and again, like I was saying, that fish was right there on the root wad. I really do like the plopper-style bait for covering water. You can make such long casts with it. Calls the fish from a long ways. It's good on these, you know, real sparse flats. Right here we got, you know, 1.5, 2 foot of water all the way across here. You got to stump every once in a while, and a lot of this grass is just too shallow to almost even get to. So having a bait that you can throw a really long ways and cover some ground with is really important when you got this shallow water like this. That should be a fish right in there. Came up and smoked that. We got him with both hooks there. Boy, he hit that so hard. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. He was not going anywhere. That is for dang sure. Whoa. They are fired up this morning. That's a nice solid fish, pushing 3 pounds. So, Chaos Shad came up and hit it with some authority there. All right, that was fun. All right, we've been doing some topwater fishing this morning, so I'm gonna give you a rundown of the setup I'm using here. We'll start out with the rod. I've got a 7'2" medium heavy action rod. It's got a fast tip, a lot of backbone. This one's a Johnny Morris Signature Series from Bass Pro. I've got it attached to a high-speed gear ratio reel. Again, Johnny Morris Signature Series, 7:5 to 1 gear ratio. And a lot of times when these fish are hitting it in super shallow water, you got to catch up to them quick because they're moving sideways really fast. So I got 50-pound Bass Pro Shops braided line on here. The braided line has no stretch to it, so I can throw it over this grass, you know, over lay downs, behind docks, over the top of cables, not worry about it breaking off, and I get a really good hook set, and it allows me to use, you know, a little bit more limber of a rod. This medium heavy rod here, you know, allows me to you know, get a little whipping action to the bait when I'm throwing it. This 3/8 ounce bait doesn't weigh a ton, and you get a little resistance from the blade when you're throwing it. So it helps me make accurate casts and lets me put it around those targets a little bit easier. As far as the bait goes, this is a 3/8 ounce buzz bait, black in color. This is the Bass Pro Shops Buzzer Beater Buzz Bait with a gold blade. Black is by far my favorite color on a buzz bait. I've just got a Zoom horny toad on here. I've cut a little bit off of it, added a little bit of super glue to that Buzzer Beater Buzz Bait. Again, with the gold blade on there, it looks really good in the water. So one of my favorite features about this buzz bait is that you have the option of having the bait squeak or actually hit the head and make a clacking sound. So right now, I've got it tuned to where this blade is closer to that head. So as it's coming through the water, it's gonna create an extra sound, extra commotion. Now, if I want just the squeaking sound of the blade from a normal buzz bait, basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna tweak this wire out just a little bit to where it's got a little bit of room. And now when I spin it, it's not gonna hit the head of that blade, and you can hear it's got that nice squeaking sound to it. The Chaos Shad. This is just a plopper style bait from Bass Pro Shops. It makes a lot of commotion. It's got some beefy hooks on here, which I really like as well. Again, 7:5 to 1 gear ratio reel. I've got 65-pound Bass Pro Shops braided line on this one. So I actually have it on a 7'6" heavy action Johnny Morris Signature Series rod. So this topwater bite is usually fairly short-lived depending on the day. This morning we've got a little bit of clouds, some scattered rain showers, so that bite's lasting a little bit longer than normal. The early morning hours, taking advantage of those first few hours of the morning, especially when it's 90 to 100 degrees outside, is really critical. All right, we've been covering a lot of ground with that buzz bait this morning, and we just fished through a nice stretch of grass. We got here to this boat dock, and it's got a bunch of wood cover around it and some nice poles that are supporting this walkway. And so picked up my little tube here, got a 1-2 punch of a couple of topwaters and a tube or either a jig. Got both of them out here, and I selected the tube just because there's a lot of brush right here, and a lot of it looks like it has a ton of small limbs on it. And so that tube's super weedless, has kind of a shad type profile, which I really like here in the fall. And I'm just gonna slow down a little bit and pick this cover apart. I threw the topwater in there a few times, and now we're gonna give them a little bit different look here and see if we can't get a bite. Oh, there's one pinned in there. Nice. Just what we were talking about there. Threw that topwater in there. It's real close quarters and a tight spot, and picked up that flipping tube, threw in there, and got a nice keeper. Oh my God. Yep. Oh, that's a nice fish. Threw that topwater in there several times. Figured there was one in there, and there was. Just had to pick up a slower moving bait. Gave him that 1-2 punch right there. These fish are gonna start really moving into the shade now that the sun's getting out, and so we're gonna start targeting more of this hard cover. So late summer, early fall, you always wanna have topwater handy. It's a great bait to start off with, get a couple big bites to get your day going, and then you can always switch gears throughout the day to get some of those extra bites.